Hello everyone. Today we will discuss about software development life cycle, which is in simply we can call it as SDLC. There is nothing to buy hard on this. It is like a process. It's an approach that every company or the projects follow. So here we have phases in the software development life cycle. We have requirement gathering and analysis, developing, which is nothing but coding, testing, deployment, and maintenance. So, we will discuss one by one what it is. And so, here we have different approaches, different models in the SDLC as well, different methodologies as well. So, we can also discuss about them. Firstly, requirement gathering and analysis. What is it? So requirement gathering is something when one particular project is starting, then we need the requirement. Like for example, when client asked us to implement or develop a application that is maybe web browser application or maybe mobile application, we do need requirements. What is it? Which what is the purpose of it? How it is going to be? And so everything about that application, every each and every step that we need to follow, we should know from the client, otherwise we will end up doing wrong things. So that requirements is very important, so we need to gather them and analyze them. So we means in the project there will be project lead, project managers, BAs, architects, developers, testers, everyone. If everyone involves and understand the requirement, then everyone has different analysis. They might need some requirement that is maybe missing so that they can clarify on them before going into any development, so that that will be easy for anyone to involve in. So developing is once the requirement is gathered and we thoroughly follow them, understand and analyze them. So developers will start the coding to make an application, to implement or develop an application. So developers start writing the code using maybe coding is using maybe Java or maybe .NET or maybe JavaScript. There are lot many tools or .NET. Yeah. So the testers will start the coding, and not testers, sorry, developers will start coding and the testing phase. So here, once the development is done, so testers need to perform a testing activities, so they do know how this application is going to be. So how the performance is going to be. Like for example, in Amazon, when we are trying to add some products into baskets and going into like payment page, how we need to add products into basket, quantity is okay or not, are we able to select the quantity, are we able to if there are any discounts, are they getting applied for the customers, everything, so they can be involved in the testing phase. So everything is good, and then the last step is going to be deployment. So the actual application, after testing it in SIT and UAT environments, deployment means that is going into production now. So that is the last phase. So then there will be some maintenance, because actual customers will be involved in the in using the application that is developed by developers and that is thoroughly tested by testers. Now that is on live, so every like customers like you or me or maybe any other customers are using the actual app, so they know that they do perform like abnormal activities, like they click on it, they um, They, while doing some searching, they do search for multiple products, things like that. So there will be some bugs may come up in the live, so that we need to maintain them as well. So next slide is SDLC. Here, in software development lifecycle, SDLC called software testing lifecycle is also a part. So here also there are phases like requirement understanding. What is this requirement? How it is going to be? Everything like how the functionality is going to work, how this particular app is for, what is the app for, and everything. Test design. Test design means nothing but like we need to prepare the test cases based on the requirement, and scenarios are single line descriptions, like we need to, what is that particular case is going to be, what is that case is doing, that is a scenario is a, it explains within with a single line description. So we need to prepare both of them as a tester. And test execution, so once the test cases are prepared, then test execution will start. Like we will like maybe I write the test case, my newly some other testers are joined so that they can follow my test cases, and they can manually test them, or maybe they can use automation tools like Selenium WebDriver, maybe Selenium. There are a lot many third-party tools also available. So whatever it may be, so they can use either manual approach or automation. But end of the day, they are executing the test cases to find the application is working as expected. There are no any functionality missing or maybe any bugs, no any issues. So once everything is cool, everything is working as expected, and the application is as expected, and the client is also happy, our managers, everything are, everyone are happy, there are no issues, so then that will be going in to live, so that means deployment. So there are maintenance will also be taken care by developers and testers after going on to live. So that is called SDLC. Now we will go and see some of the models available in the SDLC. That is one of the legacy approach. Nowadays, maybe some of the projects also using what this model is. It's got nothing but waterfall model. In a waterfall model, we have different phases for different activities. It is a kind of step by step process. So once the first step is finished, only then after the next step will be started. So here each step is depending on previous step. Yeah, to start the QA activities, QA team must wait to complete the development activities. So this is the uh, drawback of this model. Why I am saying drawback means, so once the requirement gathering finishes, only the analysis part will start. Like if we need to simply say something like, once the requirement analysis, planning, designing, everything finishes, developer starts coding. So when the developer starts coding, we need to wait until the whole application is completed. Then only testers can start testing and find if there is anything gone wrong. So that is why it is called as, there is some drawback, means if there is anything missing, some functionality is missing, then we need, developer needs to find it throughout the app, check each and need to perform like unit testing, or maybe the code check from the beginning. So that is going to be very time consuming and also expensive for the clients. So then, yeah, here each step is depending on the previous step. So here, yeah, requirement gathering, analysis, planning, designing, coding, testing, delivery, and maintenance. Each step is depending on the previous step here. Here, we also have After the water model, we have V model came up, which is nothing but verification and validation model. Here, both testing and development activities performed simultaneously. It is one of the maybe better than the waterfall model. So, because testing and development are happening, both are happening simultaneously. So, there is some one particular piece of code is developed by developer, and the testers can test that particular piece of code. If they can find anything wrong with that code, anything wrong with that application because of the code, they can um, immediately find it out. So developers will not need to spend a lot of time to going through the whole application. It is like a bit and a piece of code, so they can easily find it and fix it. So there is no dependency between development and testing team. So here QS means testers receive requirements. Developers also receive requirements. They understand. So both of them understand the requirements. But here developers prepare coding, but here testers prepare test cases. I mean, the developers review coding, the QS review test cases. So developers will release the build. It's not BILLED, sorry, it's BUILD build. So upload the test cases into QC. So testers upload test cases into QC and they execute them. They report defects. Here test case. The developers normally fix the defects. So I will explain in detail. So V model is nothing but a verification and nothing but a validation and a verification model. So here in V model, both development and testing activities are performed simultaneously. So for both dev and testing team get the requirements and both will understand the requirements. So developer will start writing the code and QA will prepare the test cases and test scenarios. Developer will do the code reviews and QA will prepare the QA will do the test case reviews. So developer will share the build to the testers. So after build means whatever the code they have developed, that particular piece of functionality will be handed over to the testing team, so that testing team will be tested that functionality is working fine or not. So developer, so QA team will upload the test cases into quality center. So testers will execute the test cases, um, and report the defects to the developers. If there are any defects, then they will be reported to the developers. Developers fix the defects and give. So again, after fixing the defects, they give them back to the testers. So they need to fix that. They need to find test that particular fix also. If there is anything missing in that functionality, or maybe because of that fix anything else is affected, everything should be taken care by testing. So likewise defect life cycle goes on. And the last and the I can say best model these days, nowadays it's everyone kind of following in the projects or in the companies is called agile or scrum methodology. So nowadays most of the projects are running in agile methodology. Here we will get requirements in the forms of user stories. What is user story? User story is nothing but a line or two lines of explanation. What is that particular um, functionality is for? What is that particular code is for? In that particular application, so we can easily understand. Any human without any um, um, the technical person in non-technical person can also easily understand that particular user story easily, because that is not like a pages. It's like a 2 to 3 lines of information how we need to take care of that functionality. And we will implement those user stories in sprints. Sprint means it is in agile methodology, it is one of the terminology we use for that fixed time frame, that either maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks. It's kind of 4 weeks of time. That time frame we call it as a sprint. So those user stories can be handled in the sprints. So so like I said, to run this methodology, we need a Scrum Master, or maybe sometimes project managers or leads can also handle this and run the sprints. So they actually run the daily stand-up meetings to solve the roadblockers. Blockers means, mm, sorry. So we have like like I mentioned, 2 to 4 weeks of time. We have sprints, right? So in within the sprint, user stories will be allocated in Jira board. There will be user stories in the to-do list. So who is going to do which user story? So every developer will be allocated with the, or testers, or maybe sometimes architects will be allocated with the user stories. So those user stories should be finished within that sprint. So to make sure that is going well, we means scrum master or maybe team lead or maybe team manager will conduct daily stand-up meeting. That daily stand-up meeting means every morning 9 a.m. or maybe 9:30 a.m. based on company policy. They always have meetings, like half an hour meeting or maybe 1 hour meeting based on the team size, so that they can explain within 2 minutes or 3 minutes what they have done in yesterday or what are they going to do today, so that everyone will be on track, so that they can finish their jobs within the time, so within the sprint, especially in agile methodology. So we also have backlogs here. Backlog means if they are if someone like maybe developer or maybe tester, sometimes if they can't able to deliver that, implement that particular user story on their name within that sprint, like in the 2 weeks, for example, time frame, unable to fix that or maybe unable to develop that, then that will be a backlog. Means here we have like sprints can be within the project, within the time limit. There can be sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4. They can like maybe 10 sprints in the projects. If that is that particular user story is not able to fixed within that, not that for particular the sprint one, then that is going to be uh, developed or fixed in the next sprint. Means sprint 2. So here, if so that is missed in the sprint 1, that means that is a sprint backlog. If we are on sprint backlog, if we are unable to implement planned user story in the particular sprint, that is called sprint backlog, and we will implement the same in the next upcoming sprints. Defect backlog. If we are unable to fix and close a particular defect which is reported during the sprint, is called a defect backlog. Here, see, the application is completed, and or maybe that particular piece of code is completed and tested by testers, but came up with the issue or bug. That bug should be fixed within the sprint. If that is not done within that sprint, that is called defect backlog. So we have a third one, the last one is product backlog. If we are unable to implement a particular user story in entire release means, like I mentioned, we have 10 sprints. In if we are unable to, we means developer cannot be able to implement that particular user story in entire release in all planned sprints, that is called product backlog. Yeah, that is all about SDLC, software development life cycle. So if I've been missing anything or not, so anything is something you can't able to pick up from my from me, so please always comment below. I'll try to explain it. Thank you.